All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color, a program that we bring to you it's going to be almost every day now, as close as getting to the election. So we have on the line, we got George Green here, and our friend Tammy Lambert introduced us to each other. And Tammy's something else. She makes sure that we get everything out there. So she is a trooper, I would say. So good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. And thanks to Tammy for connecting.
Yeah, yeah. So we're on the other side of the spectrum, but we talked earlier. We basically want the same thing, but sometimes we go about things in an unorthodox way, or I don't know how to put it. It's just you know, um, we everybody know, and it's been out that you're Republican, and that's what we want. We want both sides on here because you could be on one side and but you never hear the other side on how they're thinking. And Tammy thought it'd be a good idea for that to happen, which I think was a great idea because we need to know how each other is thinking. Now, you
Yes.
you are a Republican, and how did you become a Republican?
Well, you know, I was born and raised here in Texas, and back in the day, uh, we really were not tied into anything political you know that I was aware of. Leaving high school and moving off to getting my education and my early working career, uh, I became a public Republican simply by that's who all I associated with. The first part of my career, I was with the pharmaceutical industry, Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical and Merck Pharmaceutical, and they were very conservative and Republican. And then the people that I worked with and called on, they were very conservative and Republican, and so that's just what I was drawn to.
Okay.
And therefore, when I was elected, you know, those positions were not partisan positions, so you didn't have to declare. But as you move higher up the ladder, at some point you got to make a party declaration, and so that's what I was used to, and that's what I was taught by, and so voila, you got George Green, the Republican.
Okay. So what changes have you seen in the years on the Republican Party?
One of the changes that I have noticed, from candidate to candidate, uh, they're different in the way that they think, the way that they go about things uh, to get things done. So, those are some differences that I noticed right on.
Do you think is it for the good or for the better?
Well, time will tell. I think most people would like to say that they're doing it for the good and for the better. Uh, but this thing is cyclical, and in order to say whether it was good or bad, we need more years under our belt to, at least I do, to really come out and say, well, yeah, this was good and this was bad. So time will tell.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. Years would tell. Did a little research, and for 29 years in the state of Texas, Republicans had held dead strong on everything. Like for instance, with who was it, Kim Paxton? What happened?
Yes.
What happened a few days ago? My opinion, it was like intimidation. Really haven't filed no charges on the young lady, 87 years old, haven't filed any charges on her, but they assume what she was doing. Was that a right about way to go there and raid the house at 6 o'clock in the morning?
in my opinion, I would not have done it. I would not have advised any of my staff to do it. Um, but I would not have done it. So, so there again, there's some differences, we're Republicans, yes, but I think we may go about things differently.
Well, you think that form was? You think that was like intimidation, sending a message out?
It, Ronald, in my opinion, it's suspicious when you're this close to an election, and to carry out those kinds of tactics. I would be suspicious. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing that's going on, that he's bringing a lawsuit against Harris and Bexar County for sending things out for voters, and he said he didn't want that to happen. Um, they're afraid that illegals will get a hold of that and vote, and it's a lot of speculations, but there's no true facts on what exactly is going to happen. What Bexar and Harris County is trying to do to inform the voters, from what I've seen, that's what they're trying to do, and he wants to stop that from happening. So, how many ways do we gotta go about to try to suppress the voters?
Well, I have good friends in both Harris and Bexar County. Um, I'm sitting on the sidelines there watching, and I'm in full support of what they're doing. We're trying to get and reach out to as many people as we can to vote. And when I say we, I'm talking about both sides of the political lines. We want people to vote, but we want them to vote legally, yes. But we're out to get more people involved and get them voting.
Hey, with that being said, we haven't really heard in Texas, to be honest with you, that many people illegally voting. And if it is, it's a minute. I mean, the number is not even 1% from the last numbers that I looked at. But they make it sound like um, the droves are coming in, just voting, changing everything. And I don't see that. Why are some Republicans has used this scare tactic? That they're scaring people not to go out and vote. They scaring the truth is what I see. Because if you really look at it nowadays, people go out and vote. They voting, and I would say so much percentage is legal. But why do we hang around that less than 1%? And to me, threaten and terrorize people about it.
Well, I I, I wish I was in the room talking with them whenever this was their tactics were all discussed. I mean, I tend to agree with you. Looking at my area of circumference and influence, I do not see it. Um, and I know the people in Bexar County and to a degree in Harris County, I I don't see it being a huge problem, but you know they're going about it a different way, using different tactics that I think is questionable, but we'll see. Time will
Yeah.
tell again.
I hate to speculate, but I'm gonna ask you a question. If you was part of that committee and they voted on to do what they're doing right now, and you're in that committee, what would be your input to them? Or why are they doing it? Is this good timing? As you brought up right now, the timing is suspicious. So if you was in that committee deciding what you're gonna do, what would you say or do?
Well, I would I would again a question the intent of what the committee want done. I mean, and why we're going about it that way to get it done. And I would say, there's some repercussions for this. Should we be found at fault? So I would definitely caution them on what could happen and what may happen. Should we be in the wrong?
Yeah.
And when you're in a committee like that, I mean, you have to speak to everyone and try to get as many of them to side with you, and I would surely put my best foot forward to try to get it to stop.
There's one thing that came up is there are quite a few people. I know a lot of Republicans, and they're sort of been telling me, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But yet they won't speak out, like they're scared to say anything. Why is this so much of a fear tactic? If they speak out, that they'll come after them, and we seen that on the news. Like, all right, you go against me. Wait till I get there. I'm gonna get you. Why is that fear tactic working now? Because I was brought up to speak your mind and to speak out, and they're not speaking out. Is it getting to be that bad and that point where you know what you want to say, but you're not going to say it because you fear of retaliation?
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a very strong, a deeply uh, committed person to speak out, and then to speak out publicly. Um, and we just don't seem to have people like that in big numbers anyway today that that can or that will do it. I mean, they can do it, but they for some reason they're wanting to protect their position. Maybe their family, if there's a degree of retribution seen or have been done, uh, and so there's some fear there for some. If you can't stand the heat, you need to get out of the kitchen. What we'd always say.
Yeah.
So that's where I am.
There's a saying in Texas that you with the good old boys club, and that club has not relinquished any power yet. That's just my opinion. So, what is going to take for us to meet halfway like we used to? Democrats and Republicans would sit down and they could agree to disagree and go on the merry way. But now, all this being so personal against each other, it just, that's not politics. That's high school crap. I'm going to say that. When you got to go out there and talk about each other, husbands and wives and kids should be left out of it. Why? When is this going to stop? I know that's a question you probably can't answer, but I just got to say it's got to stop. Somebody got to be grown up in this and stop this from going on, or else we're not going to ever come together.
Well, yeah, it's going to take the public to continue to be steadfast when they see things that are going wrong. The public really have to step forward and take a lead on that. And then even with our current leaders that are there, his constituents should put heat on him or her, and I think eventually everything will come full circle at some point. Now, that's what you're asking is when. I can't say in the next 4 years or the next 8 or 12, but we have to continue to get good candidates forward and weed out the bad candidates, and even the incumbents. There comes a time when it comes time for our incumbents that's been there and have done little to move aside. I know they don't want to do that,
Yeah.
but it goes back to the public and getting good candidates out there in front of them to make that move.
I'm glad to say that I'm going to bring up term limits. Now, we do have term limits in place. The way they have the election now is staggered, so you don't vote everybody out at one time. It's staggered. I agree with that 100% on that again. But some of the term limits need to be, my opinion, need to be shortened a little bit because lifetime politician, come on now. If this is my personal opinion, if you came in there with 1950 mentality, here it is 2024, how much change did that person do? Because right now we're looking at people want to go back to how it was back in the days and not move forward. And people got to understand with the election time coming up, it's about the future. So how do you feel about stricter term limits?
Well, I agree with term limits. Whenever I ran back 2013, my pharmaceutical background, my sales background was such that you go in and you identify what needs to be done by way of constituent, input. And once you identify what needs to be done, then you get your staff and crew together and you figure out the steps that need to get it done. Once that is accomplished, then you check that box, if you would, and then you move on to the next one. And that's the approach that I took whenever I came in. By the time I left council, I had documented over $50 million of improvements to the district with few or little taxpayer monies. And once those boxes were checked off, I did not need any time limits to tell me when to go. I would go when everything was completed and my mission was done.
Oh, okay. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna switch gears on you because
Okay.
this one has been a thorn in my side right here. In Harris County, you got these black women that were elected to office. They was elected fairly. Why they have to be questioned about their job? They actually are they capable of doing that job? The voters put them in there for doing that job. Well-educated black women. Why do they have to be second guessed?
Well, that's unfortunate. But if you're a person of color, in particular black, you're constantly having to prove yourself over and over and over again, especially when you get into this field of politics. Now, if we were on the football field, we were running track, or we were doing some other athletic event where you could see who made the touchdown, you can see who actually made the goal, then there's no questions asked. But when you get in this field, when what your accomplishments are, unless you can tangibly document what you've done, then they're going to question you. That's always been the case with my experience being an African American man. Regardless of how good I was, regardless of what my grades were, regardless of what I did in the past year or two or five, there's always a question as to whether you're male or female. In the case here with the black women, they'll want a question.
And I mean, when I seen that and read that, I was just blown away. I said, this is 2024. Why we gotta question somebody? So when you was in office, did they question your knowledge and what you were doing there? Did they question your ability?
Yes, sir. Every step of the way, I was the first African American elected as city councilman in the city of New Braunfels. And as much experience as I have had and I brought to the table, as many accomplishments that I could document, they still questioned me and my ability, and they put me through the test for sure.
You know, you go through the qualifications, you know you qualify for your job. When you run, your qualifications there, you got degrees on the wall, you got all this what you went through, you studied and you did all that under candlelight. I'm gonna say candlelight because that's what we did back in the days. And you studied hard to get where you at. And now being questioned for your ability to do the job, that's where some of the changes need to come right away. With this 24 election come around, some deep changes need to come up, and this needs to stop because we're being questioned on anything that we do. Not only politicians, but we're being questioned even at our own job. Of you being a supervisor or head of something, blacks are being questioned all the time. What makes you better than I am? You know, we always got to jump through hoops.
Well, yes, I don't. I would pray and hope that that goes away, but you know, I don't see it happening. I'm so proud to hear of our people of color, and especially African American men and women, of their accomplishments. I'm proud. We may be of different persuasions, but I'm very proud, and I respect, and I think that's one of the things we're missing. I respect what they have done and what they are doing, and I don't question them at all. And we need others to get to that point also.
You know, I think that one of the problem is I don't think they took time enough to understand our culture. They took time enough to look at all the negative things, but they refuse to look at the positive things. Our culture is different. Um, we are resilient in what we do. And I think that gets to them that you could knock us down, but we're right back up again. Knock us down, we back up again. So again, 2024 is going to be the turning point here in Texas and the nation. I am calling this the election of the century because there is a lot online with this election coming up. And I'm waiting for November 6th. The reason why I'm waiting for November 6th, everything is over with. That's what I'm waiting on so we can sit back and see how things went. But from now until November 5th, I hate to say this, but I think it's going to get nastier out there. What is your opinion on that?
What I'm seeing, and to answer your question, it could get out of hand if we let it get out of hand. And when I say we, I'm talking all of us collectively. I mean, for me, going to the gym to work out, to sitting at a restaurant to eat, to being in Austin at the Capitol. If our actions and reactions are not, I should say, proper and professional account, then others see what you do and what we do, and they'll want to do the same. So I think we have to be careful in ourselves and how we act and react, and get our law enforcement on board, get everybody on board with that from top to bottom, and we can minimize and hopefully eliminate this thing getting too far out of hand.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Are you going to run for office again?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And I tell you why, Ronald, because I look around and I see my cohorts, and I say I can do a better job than that. And when I first got started in politics, one of my friends said, "Well, George, if you can do better, well then get in and do something about it." So, you know, I'm an active guy, and this is my home in my home state, and I don't want to see it go to the dogs. So I'm very good at what I do and how I go about it. And so we need those kinds of skills and that kind of ability in positions to make our legislative laws and regs, uh, and then to guide the ship, if you would.
Okay. Well, Mr. Green, I'm looking forward because um, we got you scheduled. Well, we got things scheduled for once a week with you until the election to get your take on things that's going on every day in the news, and I'll get your opinion about some things that's going out there. And we appreciate your opinion coming across there because that's what we want to know and that's what we want to see. And like I said, we really do appreciate you coming on the show today. You have any last words?
Yeah, Ron, thanks for this opportunity. We have a lot to discuss. We hadn't even touched the bases of education yet.
Oh,
we, that's a big thing for us here in Texas.
well, you know
Public
what?
education versus private education.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Let's continue. We ain't going away yet because I got something to bring up about education. I'm glad you brought that up.
All
I had
right.
it in my notes here. I had it up under a napkin. Here's my notes right here. Education is important in Texas. Texas is ranked not last, but pretty close for education.
Yes.
And I looked at the map, and Abbott is holding on to money for the public schools, and
Yes.
he wants to make it a school voucher. Well,
Yes.
I looked at the counties. Do you know there are more counties without private schools than anything else? So let's say he go to vouchers. Them public schools are lost. The ones that don't have private schools in their county. And that money is for the public school. Um, Let me see. I was reading something the other day that they said that our public schools, we need to get more math. This is what it was. They got teachers that are not certified teaching now. 29% of the teachers in Texas are not certified, but they don't have them teaching core classes like English and math and all that. They got them teaching other classes. But yet we're
Yeah.
doing that, but he's holding on to the money so we get the right teachers in there. Does that make any sense?
Well, no, it doesn't make sense to me. In fact, I'm just a step away from calling my state board of education members and my state representatives to express my opinion about that. And I hadn't voiced it, but I saw that, Ronald. In fact, I experienced that with hiring people that are not certified, whether they're teaching a core curriculum or not. We need certified teachers out there. And this is why I fault the public schools. We've had opportunity, and I always say we because I hate to say I, but we've had opportunities to hire good, well experienced, well qualified teachers, but they did not hire them, whether it was for a budget reason or whatever. But there's no excuse for our children not to have a well qualified, well experienced person in front of them. So that's why I deem the public schools. A lot of this situation we have, they shot their own selves in the foot. And so now we're being challenged. Our kids' performances we're not nowhere near where we ought to be. And when you say we're at the bottom, yeah, Texas is at the bottom, which I'm embarrassed about that. I worked in Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, the Midwest for almost 20 years, and you can see the difference in the kids and their performance uh, when they're well trained, well experienced by someone of experience versus not. So yeah, I again, public schools have kind of hurt themselves there, in my opinion.
Yeah, just got to comment somebody. Fault your House representatives for not passing the bill for an increase in salary for our teachers. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm glad the person brought that up because I looked at it. We are $10,000 behind on paying our teachers, and other states are giving teachers. And we got a lot of teachers walking away because of that. But some are there because they have the passion and love for it. And some just saying, forget it. I can't handle this anymore.
Right. Well, my fellow teachers, I'm a lifetime certified vocational instructor, and 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 I've been teaching since 1979, and I still talk to my teachers today, and my hearts go out to them. Uh, they've not been treated fairly, and our kids are suffering. Uh, the private voucher thing. I worked for the government a number of years. We tried to go to the private route, uh, but it just didn't work for where we were at that time. So, I know the governor has a lot of money at his fingertips, and there's a lot of people pushing. They're not only from Texas, but outside of Texas pushing for this voucher. Um, so we'll have to see. I think the public is putting up a big fight, but public education, they need some changes. So we'll see how that goes.
You know, One thing, I got relatives who are teachers right now, and they buy a lot of supplies out their pocket. And we sat down, we talked one day, and I said, well, what is your biggest hurdle in this? They said, Ron, why are we teaching the STAR test? We have to teach that test for the kids to pass. And they said, all they're going to learn now is how to pass a test. And I said, well, if you were able to teach the core classes, they should be able to pass that STAR test. So there's a disconnect right there. Is we want to get these schools up in education, but yet how can we get them up if we just teach them how to pass a test?
Well, yeah, they have. We went through that too. Teaching to the STAR. Uh, I taught in the prison system. I taught in public schools, private schools, um, and the STAR test, which we're mandated to do now. It it was supposed to be a gauge of how well the students are learning. But when you do that, the kids are, in my opinion, they're being shortchanged. And so, why they don't have their basics down. They're reading, they're writing, arithmetic. They don't have those basic skills down, and then they're thrown into an environment where they, quote unquote, have to make a certain score. Uh, you know, they're stressed. You
Yeah.
know, and so they're stressed. Parents are stressed. Teachers are stressed. Everybody's stressed. So how we get around that, I don't know, because we used to didn't have it, but they're trying to find some way to make education effective.
Yeah, because a lot of some of my friends that teach Sabin told me that the parents get upset at them because um, the kid doesn't understand, and certain things, and they're overcrowded with the schools anyway. I forget what it is, the ratio for one teacher to kids, but then a lot of the parents got to realize it starts at home. They send their kids to school thinking the teacher's supposed to raise the kids. It's the other way around. And that's part of the problem right there, that we don't see that, and we need to understand it starts at home. I mean, everything starts right there at home. When your kid leaves to go to school the next day, they're going there. Don't have to sit down there and worry about anything. But not to come in defense of kids, which I am. I don't know why I said that, but kids got a lot of pressure on them. We just had a school shooting a few days ago. Some of the kids are going to school worried about that, and that's one thing that we need to look at too. How can we have the kids learn without worrying about everything else around them?
Well, yeah, it's a struggle, and like I mentioned, everybody in that system stressed. Now these school districts, Texas, we have 254 counties in the state of Texas, and I forget how many thousands of school districts. That is a monster in itself. You've got, and when I say monster in itself, education and these school boards and these school systems, you have to take that on with all your strength. On the legislative side, that's another monster in itself. Because I was asking myself, well, George, won't you, since I'm an educator, certified educator, why don't I go and deal with the school boards? But then there's the legislative side. So, where we have laws and regs that need to be off the books, some need to be put on. So which one do you choose? I chose the legislative side because I think eventually our educators will get that all figured out if the public stays involved.
Yeah. Somebody just answered that question for me. They said the ratio should be 15 to 18, and now some classrooms are right at 30. So that right there is part of the problem. But they're building schools. I see it in my neck of the woods here in San Antonio. They're building schools all over the place. Northside Independent School District is one of the biggest ones here in San Antonio, and they got schools going up all over the place. But
Yes,
we're having a teacher shortage. That's the reason why they're hiring non-certified teachers for certain classes.
yeah, that's the excuse that they give. There are good certified teachers out there, but do they want to work under those circumstances where behavior is an issue, parents are an issue, can be an issue, and so yeah, I hear them make that excuse, but I talked to people. We were in San Marcos just yesterday. A lot of those youngsters there, they're getting their degree in education. And I didn't ask, but I was thinking, why would you want to get a degree in education when it's struggling like it is?
Yeah.
But we need good certified teachers. And you mentioned the rural area. Yeah, the rural area is going to be hurting because the population is moving towards these urban areas, and they have the money. So you got the North Side ISDs and the Northeast. You in Dallas, you have all of those upper end school districts. Houston, same thing. The suburban area and the urban areas is where population is moving. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
And so while they're building new schools, then our San Antonio ISD, which is the inner school districts of San Antonio, they're suffering.
Yeah. So true. Let me see here. Well, we're going to have to figure that out somewhere down the line. I don't know how we're going to do it. We got this election to deal with right now and everything going
Yes.
on. But at last, I don't know if I'm right about this number, everybody, so don't be throwing rocks at me. The last count I heard, there was $32 million that Abbott is holding on to for public schools. I think I read that number somewhere. And that's a lot of money to hold back for the public schools in the state of Texas.
Yes, it is. And these teachers having to come out of their pockets. I used to have to go and buy breakfast tacos in the morning to get my kids to perform.
Oh, wow.
But you do what you need to do
Yeah.
in order for them to pass those tests. And the old saying, "We'll work for food." I was able to get those kids to produce. So
Yeah. Well, okay, sir. I'm gonna call you offline later on so we get together and so we get things what we're gonna talk about. There'll be some things thrown in the news out of nowhere, so we got to hit those too. So, but I do appreciate you coming on, Mr. Green, for your time and everything this morning.
yeah, we have the prison system to talk about too.
Oh
So
yeah.
we got a lot.
Oh, the prison. Oh, I'm not gonna get started on that one. We'll be on for another hour because I read something the other day, but I'll share that with you offline so we have our ducks in a row next Friday.
Okay, Ronald.
Okay. All right. You
Well,
take care.
well,
We'll
we
talk.
appreciate you.
All righty. I will talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Recording.
All right, everybody. That was Mr. Green right there. Oh yeah, we got a lot to talk about. It's not over with yet. It's so much going on and things. So that's what we have going on. Mr. Green is nice enough to be on every Friday, and I appreciate the chats that we got in. That people was I couldn't switch to everything. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and I got things all over the place. But I was concentrating on YouTube. We got a lot of stuff going on. Robinson and was on here and it gave us a lot of information on here. So we appreciate your time and everything going on today, everybody. My name is Ronald Gordon. I am with Texas in Color. So tune in. As a matter of fact, just to let everybody know, we're going to start doing Texas in Color probably every day of the week now, Monday through Friday, because the election time is coming up and we want to get in as many candidates as we can. We also got not only just candidates, we got some everyday people coming on giving their input on it. I was talking to one today that is Win with Black Women. She's going to be on next Thursday as Dr. Veronica Brooks. So we got a lot of things going on because we want to hear input from everybody out there. All right? That's what we're here for. This station is here for you, station. This platform, Texas in Color, is your platform. I'm just here to let you know what's going on. Educating the public. That's what we're here for. So everybody, thank you. I appreciate you listening. I say this after every time I get finished. Peace and chicken grease. We'll catch everybody later. Have yourself a blessed weekend.